What's up? Coming at y'all with another episode of the Major Music Lounge podcast. It's your host, D Dot, and today we're actually going to have a good friend of mine, Zak1 and G Macbeth. They actually came out recently with a new album titled Beatitudes, and we're going to talk about that, some of the other things that they've been working on, and more. If this is your first time tuning into the Major Music Lounge podcast, I like to talk to other music creators. They might also be content creators. They may have experience getting tracks placed like in film and television. If they're producers, they might come out with their own sound packs or worked on sound design projects for some of these major companies out there like Native Instruments, Cali, for example, or they could be a music production app developer. And, same thing kind of for the artist side in terms of being a content creator, or like Zak and G Macbeth, maybe you just had a project that was released and you want to come on to spread the word about it, as well as get a chance for your fans to maybe see a different side of you. And I've had guests, for example, on a podcast, just talk about how going onto a podcast or talking to a blog where they can just contextualize more than just putting out music. Their fans can see a different side of them sometimes, and they may even pick up new fans based off of just being not necessarily just this podcast, but any podcast out there. So if you're interested in coming on the Major Music Lounge podcast, you could actually follow me on Instagram at D._major music. Same thing on TikTok as well as Threads. And if you're on X or Twitter, whatever the case may be, you could follow me at D.mme. And if you like this interview, please go ahead, hit the like button. It does help this channel, and subscribe. I post new interviews weekly here on this channel. And if you're new to, my podcast, we have, this is obviously in the hundreds in terms of episodes. So we have a lot of content from a lot of great creators that you can go back, whether it's on here or whether it's on your favorite podcast streaming platform. So that's all I got. Now let's go ahead and get into the interview. Welcome back to the Major Music Lounge podcast, joined by a good friend of mine, Zak1 and G Macbeth, here to talk about that new album, Beatitudes. What's good, fellas?
What's good, my man?
Oh
Going on, fam?
man, definitely a pleasure to have y'all on the Major Music Lounge podcast. And I got a chance to listen to the album. I really like what you guys are doing. Just like, me and Zak was talking, been following Zak shit 15 years or so now,
Right.
through like Facebook and doing music together and being on here a lot. So I'm a big fan of his work, and came across you too, G Macbeth, and I'm learning more and more about you. We're gonna get into some of the work that you've been doing. I like your flow and everything, man. So digging the album, but definitely a pleasure to have you guys on.
Word up. I'm loving that.
Man, going off
Thank
the, the Beatitudes theme, man. It's a blessing to be here, bro. Thanks for having us, man.
you.
Oh man, no problem at all. Always welcome. Always welcome. It's been far too long. Zak1, man. So, we kind of chopped it up a little bit, but like, what's been going on since the last time we talked? You got the Beatitudes album. I know you released a couple of other projects. What's everything been good with you?
Man, after the last interview we did, I believe was for the Me He Say Me from the part one, and we never did a interview for part two, but I actually had D Dot on part two, man, and that song is dope with Sharinda and V Boy, man. That one of my favorite joints off that album, man. So yeah, I just I had dropped volume two, and then just doing a lot of feature work and just taking care of the family and working like a grown folk business, man. That's about it. Just trying to make time to do this music, man, when I can, because it's a gift the Lord gave me, man. I'm trying to just share it with others, lead people the right way, man. You know, been doing wrong for too long, like I said, bro. So just trying to get back to where I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to really be doing, my real purpose. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's just a blessing that God gave me these talents to do what I do, man. And you know, like you said, man, I'm a fan. I've been a fan of yours since we first started rocking together, man. So once again, thanks for having us, bro. And yeah, man, that's all I've been up to, man. Just regular life, man. Just trying to make time for the things I love to do. You know.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It's like the music and managing life and everything else in between. Sometimes a lot of people don't know how much work that could be. And we still push through it, and how you push through it this long through the ups and downs of life. We always find a way to come back to music at the end of the day. So again, it's good to see you been doing it as long as you have as well.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
And G Macbeth, first time on the Major Music Lounge podcast. And for our listeners out there, tell us a little bit about yourself in terms of how long have you been an artist? Do you also produce? And who were some of your influences when you became a music creator?
Oh man, that that's a lot of stuff, my man. Uh, I've I've been doing music, all my life. I've been singing since I was 5, and then uh, I've been rapping. But first rap I wrote about was a local mall, and that was probably in '86. Just to put a date on it, and I performed it at a little elementary kids talent show. My man was beatboxing, and I wrote my little rap I did about East Ridge Mall. East Ridge Mall. Yeah, man. I wish I had that on a piece of paper somewhere. I would love to just check out my writing from '86 until now. But I've been doing music a long time. I also a producer. I started producing probably around '93 and started out like everybody. It seems like I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, a lot of hip hop artists. It seems like everybody started as a DJ. And I started the same way. I remember I had to save money, get my little 80 something dollar realistic mixer from Radio Shack, and I got like $100 turntable, and I still had the old grandma turntable. I took off one of the old stereos, the one that had the arm that flips over, whatever like that. So I really started out DJing, but I fell in love with the mic and been rocking it ever since. But as far as Christian hip hop, um, I did it here and there, but as far as full time ministry, I probably didn't jump into it probably like '03, '04, something like that. But the music has definitely been a part of my life. And as far as influences, it gets no bigger than James Brown and Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson is not a GOAT, he is the GOAT. Probably James Brown, because without James Brown, there is no Michael Jackson. But hip hop, it's just so many. I love the art form. We're almost old enough to be around as long as the art form. It's just everything about it. I I, I can tell you some of my favorites, but it's almost unfair because all of it has something to do with me. All from the gangster stuff to the pop stuff to the pro black stuff. I mean, we could talk hip hop all day, and it's all had some kind of effect on me. But yeah, I've been in this game a little while, a little while.
Yeah, you seeing a lot of like, just the whole sound and the evolution of
Yes,
the sound of hip hop.
yes, yes,
And
yes.
that
Seen the whole thing.
yeah, that's just one of the amazing things, especially as being a creator, because you can draw influences from all those different eras of music. So
Right.
and yeah, and production, like, do you currently still produce or
Um, Here and there, but I don't know if I call it laziness or have gotten used to certain other producers producing. But I will tell you this, because I'm a producer, I always end up co-producing a track that's sent to me because I'm still hearing other stuff like,
yeah.
the drums could be better here and that kind of thing. So it you can call it co-producing, you can call it executive producing, but it is it's a lot for me to hear a beat and without me having put my hands on it as a producer. Because, like you said, if you're a producer, you're drawing from everything. I can sit here and tell you about all the aspects of hip hop I draw from, but man, I'll let you know I'm a hip hop head, but I listen to everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. So you put my playlist on shuffle, you about to get jazz, you about to get all forms of
Urban
hip hop, you
era.
about to get rock, you about to get new wave 80s, you're about and gospel. And I too much to name. High energy. I literally listen to all that.
And like just from saying that, one, producers, like that'll never leave you. And what I mean by that is like you we hear music differently than
Yes,
anybody.
yes,
Like there's little details in these beats that we could hear that your
yes,
average listener probably couldn't hear. And
yes.
I don't think that'll ever leave me. If I stop making beats today,
Right,
I will
right.
always listen to music the same way. So
Your ear is trained for it. You can't help it. You hear chords differently. You hear where even on the best songs, you're like, you know what? If he would have went like a major seven on that, maybe that would have made that sound better. And this song is too tart. This might need a minor chord. You hear all those things. You're breaking down the drums. Like the drums have more oomph right here, and it is because I listen to all music, and all music has something about a close in it. It has a beginning, middle, and an end, and you hear that, and that's why I gravitate to a lot of people that make albums and when they fully produce songs and coming from a hip hop head where we come from that 2 loop or 4 bar loop type of stuff like that. The real production is making it a complete song. You know what I mean? Like that's why I admire about Zach. Zach is a rapper. Zach is excuse me, and I don't want to just call him a rapper. He's an MC because the way he structures his rhymes, and there's a beginning and the end. You know what I mean? You could have a posse cut and you put Zach on it, and wherever you need him to be, that rhyme will fit. You can put him at the beginning, you can put him in the end, and put him in the middle, and it will still work because he has a beginning and an end. There's a lot of rappers around here that they're rapping, and the bars are great, but it's not ending. It's not. You're not giving me a complete story. Even if you're just barring up, there's somewhere it's got to begin and somewhere it's got to end.
yeah, yeah, a really good storyteller. And
Yeah.
just following like not only that, I like Zach's delivery, his
Mm-hmm.
cadence. I think it kind of all goes together. So you're
Word.
absolutely correct. Now going into the Beatitudes album, like
Word.
how did you two start working together?
Man, we had been connected through a mutual friend, and they do an event called The Rock. And Anthony's a DJ and a host. He hosts the Rock events. Did him and his wife Gina. Shout out to them. No Weapon Ministry. So I got out there one time and I did a show. I did a set. I think I met Joffrey the first time I did one, and then I did another one. And I remember I did it with my partner Devarg, who has been a big part of my musical career as of late, especially. Shout out to him and Elemental Beats. And we went out there and we did a show, we did a set, and I had the kids out there with me, was vibing, man. I had all the little ones up on stage dancing, and I remember Joffrey just, enjoying that. He was in the front row just giving major love, man. And I always remember that. And ever since then, and I started listening to some Kinfolk, another group that he's part of, him and Anthony actually and Martwan, shout out to them. Um, I remember me and Devarg was trying to get King Macbeth on the track. I don't know where the communication went. I think we were supposed to get him on the track, and we never ended up. Something happened. We never ended up getting him. But when I started putting together the "Me He Saved Me From," um, I remember reaching out to him and just kind of sharing my thoughts and ideas on the project. And I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I just know that God had given me an idea to work with, and that I was going to run with it. And so I kind of ran some stuff by him, and he had some input. And I was like, man, you know what? Let's put that input. Let's bring it to fruition, man. How about you jump on this track with me? And he was talking about follow the leader. And it wasn't even the song title or anything like that. He was just talking about following the lead, following God's lead. And I was like, man, you know what? I kind of gave him the leeway, like, okay, get something started. Here's some beats. Shot him some beats. He picked one out, and it's just history from there, man. Ever since then, that's just the beginning. That's kind of like the beginning, the intro of the Beatitudes, because we did that track and it came out so good. That we just stayed connected. I got on a couple. They got another group called Dub3K. Shout out to Fly Hines and Shoebox Proper. And I got blessed enough to be one of the only features on their latest album. And through that, I mean, we got a group chat with all four of us, and we just chop it up often, pray for each other, fellowship with each other, laugh, cry, all that. And that just was like the beginning, the spearhead of this whole project, man, because me and Shoebox Proper were supposed to do a project a long time ago. We already had talked about it. And in the downtime, Shoebox is a little bit he's a busy guy. Let's put it that way. I ain't gonna not. I know how life gets. It gets the same on my end. So he's a busy guy. So he wasn't available as much as I'd like him to be to do this project at the moment. So me and Mac had talked about, like, man, I bet you in the downtime we could probably come out with an album. And look at us now. We did it. We probably come out with 2 albums before I get that one out with Shoebox, man. Shout out Jack, bro.
You know what it is.
Keep it real, bro. That's all. I just gotta keep it real. That's all.
He deserves all those things.
That's how the Beatitudes kicked off, man. And I just kind of followed Joffrey's lead on this one too. Of course, I had my input, and man, it's a beautiful project. If nobody's heard it yet, I definitely suggest you go out there and check that out, man.
Absolutely. So that was y'all like really first time working together.
On the Me from part 1, yeah.
Yeah, man. Okay, that's what's up. That's what's
up.
So like I wouldn't have known like just the chemistry that y'all have on this project together.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I guess it's another question, like when you recorded the project, were you sending, like, how kind of like me and you work, obviously, because we're in other states, but like, I might send you a verse recorded, and then you just kind of build off of that, or, did you go to the lab together and, maybe even with your producer involved for the project, getting the concepts together and working together in a lab on a project? Like, how did you overall create the album?
Joffrey, you want to hit that one, or you want me to get it?
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this because Zach was bidding on this. He knows I get excited and I want to get stuff cracking and make these things happen. And I was just like, oh, well, we got the verses together. Like, we were texting verses and stuff back and forth. I said, well, I'll go in here and knock it out and stuff like that. But he impressed upon that we were in the studio together. And I love that he did that, because not that we weren't already connected, but this really brings the connection together on a project. And if we're doing a project together, we need to be together. I mean, technology is wonderful. We could do all these verses and email the file over, send it over. That's how a lot of people do it these days, but it's different when you're in the building with each other and you're giving ideas, like, you could have said this differently, or you could have came stronger with that. Or sometimes it's just being together. You know what I mean? Having your boy there to go, hey, what do you think? Or he's just vibing, whether he has something to say or not. It's just different. So we came together that way. And I will say this, the reason this became an album, it all the way came to, I thought we were just going to do a lot of songs because we both like, boom bap type hip hop, you know what I mean? And, we lean into that. And I was like, okay, we just going to do a bunch of boom bap tracks or whatever like that. Just stay in our wheelhouse and just, knock it out. And then he sent over a couple of tracks, and I was like, oh, I don't exactly remember. I was like, sounds too manicured. It sounds, you know what I mean? It sounded too albumish or whatever like that. And he was like, well, okay, whatever. It was some other track. I think you were going to use it for something else, and you were like, okay, well, I was going to use it for something else, but I was like, I just wanted to keep it dirty, grimy kind of stuff. And then the one song, and I don't think he felt strong about it, that turned into Bless. I was like, there's something about this. I wasn't trying to go this direction to have a quote unquote, album single type pretty song, but something about that song stuck out. And that's how we kind of ended up getting a couple of songs sounding like that. But it turned into an album. That made it project like, okay, yes, it's a short project. Yes, it's only 8 tracks long. Yeah, it's only 24 minutes, but it once again, there's a beginning, middle, and the end. It's a complete thought. That's what made it an album, and that was God leading. I already know that.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that's a great story. Like, because, creating, for one, you create however you need to, whether you, you mentioned technology, but there also is
Yeah,
nothing like being in the same room with somebody, being able to vibe off of that person creatively,
facts.
even if like the producer's there to
Yeah,
work with y'all. And it's helped me as well, kind of like you were saying too, like I've had people maybe in sessions with me listen to some of the lyrics and say, oh, well, maybe you should try saying something a little bit differently. And it
hmm,
works. And
right.
yeah, and again, you're feeding off each other's vibes. So I would suggest, for like a lot of listeners, if you have the chance to do a dual project with somebody similarly, like I've had people drive up, I'm in Dallas, but I had people drive up from like Louisiana to work here in the lab and we get the
Nice.
project done. So, try to do what you can to work with somebody. If it's an EP, if it's an album, invest, go to their
Yeah,
city if you have to.
right. Agreed. That- That's if you're making an album. I understand if it's like maybe just a feature and maybe the availability is not there. Like, well,
Yeah.
let me just throw my 16 on here and go from there. But I feel an album, and this may be being old school G dot, but I believe an album is a complete thought. So if
Yeah.
we're having a complete thought on something, we need to come together and start it and finish it. I don't believe in albums just being a bunch of songs and you title it something and you call it a day. There has to
Yeah.
be some kind of cohesiveness in all of the tracks, whatever you're doing.
Yeah. It's got to be a theme. I often feel
Yeah.
like albums are like snapshots of where you are in your life at that point in time.
Oh man, that's perfect. That's perfect. So I'm glad you said that because I believe that is exactly what we do, even as Christian hip hop artists. Like, what did Zach say when you first asked him what he was doing? He was living life. I can't tell you how I'm living life if I'm not doing it. Follow me? I can't tell you how I'm living life if I'm not living life. So I got to go through these things. I have to have hard days. I have to have good days for me to even give you real substance of what I'm talking about.
The fun fact about Joffrey, if you didn't know yet, D Dot, he's actually a pastor. So that's the pastor in him coming out right now. You can see it.
Yeah.
He was about to say, I need somebody right now. Says, somebody got to hear it, right? Somebody out there. Anybody? I seen it coming, bro. I seen it.
See how he do me.
That's the Sunday sermon. You feel me?
Hey, but no, on the real, to piggyback on that a little bit, how y'all were talking about production, I believe a big part of any album as well is the executive production, and that's kind of where that comes into play. It's not just the post production, but it's during the production where you can still volunteer executive production thoughts, and that's been one of my strong points my whole career. I love sitting there for the mix and putting my input into it, even though I don't know how to mix. That's one thing I'll probably never be able to do. I think one of my ears is kind of blown out, so I don't uh, I don't trust myself with certain levels and you know uh, all the aesthetics of the sound. But as far as just hearing where certain stuff's supposed to go, certain instruments or changes and transitions, I've always been great at that, man. And that's why to go back to the me save me from as well. That's why it's such a good project too, because I just was able to put so much input into with D-Varg about that, and he just was receptive to everything, and it's beautiful. And Beatitudes is the same deal, man. Stephen Glaze mixed the whole thing. Got to give a huge shout out to him and Tone Freak Studios, because they do amazing work over there. If any Bay Area artists or anybody visiting the Bay Area needs a spot to record, Tone Freak Studios in San Jose, California is the spot, man. Stephen Glaze, Don Bud, they do amazing work, man. So Steve was behind the boards on the whole thing, and he brought it to life, man. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Spin your tracks over.
talk a little bit
Spin your
about
tracks over.
the production on the album. Like, who were some of the producers that you worked with?
We have my partner Curly Daddy, who's an old school childhood friend of mine. I grew up. He actually introduced me to like NWA, EPMD, KRS-One, BDP before KRS-One, and when it was BDP. Man, all that the originators of hip hop, man. We grew up skateboarding and tagging and listening to hip hop, man. And it was like he was the one. He was the OG that we would like. He's not that much older than me, but he still was my OG to the point where, when you're in fifth grade and somebody's in sixth grade, that's your OG. So he was he introduced the whole side of town basically to a lot of the hip hop that we got, and he produced a couple tracks on there, and it's crazy because he just started producing Bear It All and what's the other one, Mac, that he did?
Bear It All and not Bullet Blessings.
No, not Bullet Blessings. So then Curly Daddy did the two tracks, and then my other partner TC Bone Lokes did two tracks on there, and they're both from the same city as me, but I haven't really seen them for a long time, and we kind of connected on this project. It was beautiful too.
Yes.
Bone Lokes did Bullet Blessings and Back to Forward.
Back to Forward. Yes.
My Just Hits, who I did a whole album with. I did a project called Left for Dead back in the day after my shortstop, and so he did Blessings.
He did Be All Right. He did Be All Right too, right?
Yeah, he did Be All Right. Oh man,
Curly Daddy.
Yeah.
Don't worry, it's gonna be all right. Don't worry, it's gonna be all right.
I think I got security rolling up on me, man. I came over here to this little.
Thought it
was quiet, so we'll see what they say. But yeah, so we had those, and then of course we had Rob the Beloved on a couple tracks, man. Who's the label head for New Tribe Records. I don't care what he says about stuff for now. Label.
Yeah.
Give him his flowers, for the production on the track and the inspiration and the fellowship and brotherhood. You know what I mean?
He sandwiched it all together because Rob the Beloved did the very first track, Beatitudes, where you got that kind of drill type track, and he did the last two tracks. So he sandwiched it. He sandwiched it together. If you saw Bye-Bye, and he also did the Beekeeper. So yeah, he did three of the tracks on there. So always shout out to Rob the Beloved.
That was one of my favorite joints. In fact, Bye-Bye. I just kind of like the vibes of that joint. I felt like there were a lot of tracks in that album. And just for me, it talked about like going through your bad times and making out of those. Basically, you're saying bye-bye to those bad times.
Right. Man, oh man, yo, D-Dot, you hit my heart, man. That's exactly what we wanted to say in that song. If that's what you pulled out of it, I don't need to hear nothing else. We good.
I appreciate that, man. And just I felt like the whole album had kind of vibes like that, overall. And I just want to say from me to you, for you guys, keep on doing what you do. Positive influence on a lot of the youth, a lot of people going through things. And do you have any like videos or performances coming for it?
Definitely. We did a little backyard video for one of the joints. We still might do some post production of that and put it back out, or we might just leave it as is. But got some plans for another video sooner than later. I'm just trying to schedule time wise, man. That's about the only stipulation right now. But also, I know the Rock, like I said, Gina and Anthony got some events coming up, so I'm sure we're going to be able to get on something pretty soon. And whatever else pops up, man, we treat it more than music, man. It's ministry. So when we get out there on stage, we got a chance to share our testimony. We got a chance to connect with people, and
Mhm.
it's a blessing to do that, man. Because that's what music transitioned into for me, especially, and I know Max feels the same. Where it's like it's more than just an opportunity to rap and to be heard. It's like you actually have an audience to where you can, like you said, D Dot, to stay positive and speak life into some of these people that haven't had the same, opportunities or haven't been able to hear from people. So they feel like, loners, or they feel like, they're the only ones going through stuff. And it's great to connect with them and let them know, like, hey, man, you know what? You ain't the only one going through something. We all go through it. And, at the end of the
Right.
day, you're not alone, because no matter what, no matter how far from God you feel, he's always there, and you can always turn to him. You know what I mean? So no matter if you're alone and you got nobody around you and you got no family, you got no friends, sometimes that's where God needs you to be. So you can look up and say, man, you know what? You're the only one that's been here, and you're the only one that's going to be here. So as soon as you realize that, man, life becomes a little bit smoother. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that music is that powerful, like from the standpoint of, I mean, whether you got one person, five people, 100 people, whatever it is, as
Mm-hmm.
long as your music can, or someone can relate to your music
Right.
and you're able to change their life, you're doing, you talked about ministry, but also you're also influencing that person to do better and, hear your story as well. So,
Facts, bro. And I remember a bar that one of my favorite MCs said, all I had was God in my lowest times. I think you might remember that one, D-Dot. That was
yeah,
you, bro.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That was you on the Me He Saved Me From Part Two, bro. That's the first bar you said on that joint, man. So
yeah,
you
man.
already
We
know what we talking about.
we were supposed to come out, or I was supposed to come out there and do that video with you.
Hey, we can still do it. It's
Yeah.
on the table, bro. I got the idea. I got the storyboard already ready, man.
Yeah, shit. Holler at me. I'm down. I'm
Yeah,
serious. I'm
we're
Man,
gonna
down.
make that happen. We're gonna make that happen.
y'all don't play with me. Y'all make sure that happen. I've been trying to push this guy to repackage it and drop it all together. Because if you listen to parts 1 and 2, it is a complete thought. Like, do not sleep on that part 2. I'm telling you, listen to the part 2. Anybody hears this, please. If you like the Me He Saved Me From one, boy, check out that 2. Listen to it together. I got it on
Yeah,
a playlist. I got it on a
I
playlist. Trust
appreciate
me,
it,
it
man.
sounds wonderful all together. Love it.
Yeah, man. You got my info still, Zach, huh?
Yeah, definitely, bro.
Yeah,
Definitely.
man. Hit me up and yeah, we're gonna plan that out.
Yeah, I'm actually going out to Atlanta in August, man. Hopefully collecting an award, man. But even just for the opportunity to go out there and be elected for this opportunity, man. Just the nomination alone is a blessing, and it's going to be fun to go out there and just network with some people, man. We got I got the Me He Say Me From got elected for are nominated for a couple of different categories with the International Writer Association. So
Okay, yeah.
get out
Well
there.
deserved, man.
Go to pass through Dallas on the way, man.
Shit, if you come through here, man, I got a guy as well. I got a guy as well we can get with. Video guy.
Definitely, bro.
Man, where can our listeners find your music as well as follow you at online?
Oh, we only do it out the trunk. Like, I got a man over here on the corner of Fremont. We serving out the trunk. Now I'm playing. No, yeah, you can get it anywhere. You can get it. It's all streaming platforms everywhere. Everywhere you can get music, you can even get it on YouTube for free or whatever like that. Even if you don't pay the account, whatever. But it's everywhere. It is. There is not one place you can't get it. Yeah. Look, I tell Google, hey Google, play Beatitudes by G Macbeth and Zak 1. And it doesn't say Beatitudes, it says Attitudes by G Macbeth and Zak 1. Like, they just
Hey,
cut out the B. They just go Attitudes.
you know the funny part about you saying that we got it out the trunk is when you were saying East Ridge Mall, 1986. You know what I was thinking, right?
What?
Too Short was out there selling his
Oh
CD. No, I
man.
didn't say
No,
CDs.
we yeah,
He was selling tapes.
I mean, we D Dot, we Bay Area. We know Too Short. We've seen him. That's how old I am. I've seen him when he was slinging tapes out of his old Mustang back in the day, and seen him up at Great America. And like, yeah, that's Bay Area for real. A lot of people will tell you now, but a lot of people got their independent hustle from the Bay Area. Nobody was doing independent moves like this anywhere else in the United States. Nowhere else. People was coming over here to get their game on how to do it. There's so many top artists right now. They talk about that all the
But
time.
Master P was up there.
Yeah.
Master P was up there.
Yes.
Uh, Daz and the Dog Pound, they learned that. He came and hung out in the Bay Area and dropped some Bay Area product just from learning. Like, oh, y'all moving units out here. Like, you don't need nobody major. Yeah, the independent grind is big in the Bay Area. You can sell out the trunk and cut out the middleman, and what I mean, still make your money so you can make another project. So yeah, it's funny how the world has changed where we do. That's the vibe of the world now. You don't really need a major right now unless they got thousands of $1 millions to put behind you. But if you get a following, let's put it like this: in our age we are right now, the ultramagnetic MCs.
Mm.
Yo, Cool Keith still does
Yeah.
shows today, and he has like a core audience. I'm not saying it's like millions or whatever like that, but he has enough core followers where he can still make records and whenever he does a show and sell out the show. And
Yeah.
he's not even major anymore. If you can get that kind of following, this is the time we're living in. That
Yeah.
when E40 made that deal with that was he made a deal for this time. This was a lot, but $2 million with Jive Records. So he got 80%, a 20% cut, just to put there. But everything else in the writing rhymes of it, it all came back to him.
Man. Yeah, if you got a good enough following right now,
Yeah,
especially with the way like it's always even like living in Dallas, like one of the things sometimes I might see an ad on Instagram or an X or
yeah,
something that just say such and such an artist is in town with a show, and I'm
yeah,
like, that person's still doing music?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
like it's wild, it's
yeah,
random. And I go sometimes I might follow that person. I see like they still doing more than better for themselves. Like they're
Yeah.
doing really good.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I always had a theory about music too, man. Is if you have that one hit song, you don't even really need 100 hit songs. You can. There's people still touring one hit wonder, still touring off that one song. You know what I
man.
mean? Whether it be
Yeah,
like the Tone Loc or you know what I'm saying? Like man, Mellow Man Ace. Like there's people that
yeah,
got one hits, and then they might follow up with something mediocre with it, but it's something for the arsenal that they can go do on stage. But that one hit is what keeps people coming out to fill up the
right,
seat, and they
Yeah.
that's how people
right.
are getting food now too. It ain't off the
And,
sales, it's
and
off the shows, it's off the merch. You know what I mean?
and a lot of
Yeah,
that, and even like features. Like I've known like some independent artists, or I would say more like artists that were major at one time that I would say are more so independent now, and they might sell a feature for $1,000, $2,000 or whatever. And
mm-hmm,
they're doing that for artists all around the world,
Right.
making that type of money, just making that quick money off of that. So
right.
they find ways, even though they're not major, quote unquote, to, still get by and live the lives that they want to live.
Right.
Right.
Man.
That's facts.
Where can our listeners and our viewers follow you? Let's start off with you, G.
Yeah, well, all the social medias. Um, Follow me at G Macbeth. You can catch me on Instagram, Facebook. Got my government name, Joffrey Sanders. Um, got a group W3K. Always shout out W3K. You follow us on there, and we have pages on Facebook and Instagram. Very easy to get with, and also New Tribe Records, who we represent. So New Tribe Records has an Instagram. New Tribe Records has a Facebook page. It's very easy to find New Tribe Records. You can ask for a New Tribe Records playlist on Spotify, and you can get a bunch of us. You can get me, Zak1, get Hussein. You can get a whole bunch. You can get a whole bunch of us on there. We have time, man, when it comes to this music thing, and we have to be. If we for real doing this Christian hip hop and we're trying to touch people, we got to be outside to that extent where we can be touched. So we easily touch. But that's all we try and do is spit a couple of rhymes that's gonna hopefully help move us in the right direction. You know, not just me. I'm trying to move us. I ain't far removed. I ain't far gone. I still have bad days, but if I can say something to help us move forward, man, I'm gonna do that and enjoy it as an artist. Come on now, that's what we do, right? We're artists, right? We want them
Artist.
to enjoy our craft, right? You know, if we can get a couple of people to be like, you know what, D Dot, you dope. I mean, I'm good. You know what I mean? There was somebody that said I'm dope. That's what I want to hear. Now, if I can get something like D Dot said that bye bye, he caught the meaning of bye bye as saying bye bye to the bad time. Oh man, I'm done. I'm good. The album's a success. It's platinum.
Man, go pick up that Beatitudes. Go pick up that
Yeah.
Beatitudes. Zach.
Oh, let me say this. Let me
Yeah.
say this real quick, Levi. The whole thought is the Beatitudes, and for the Bible people, there was a Sermon on the Mount, and the Beatitudes comes from Matthew, and there was eight Beatitudes, so that's why we have eight songs, and they all start with the letter B. Uh, Um,
I didn't catch that.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
you didn't catch that? Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah, you got it
Okay.
all from the beginning. So you got the title cut Beatitudes, then you got back to forward, then you got bullet blessings, then you got blessed, because all the Beatitudes start with blessed something. And that's what that goes through. Then you got bear it all, then you got be all right, and then you got what? Bye bye, your track, and then you got the beekeeper, all the Beatitudes. And that's why Beekeepers ends the way it does. For those that have some doubt or whatever like that, we ended with a prayer. So we started off with the Beatitudes and guess what? Even if you're not perfect, we're praying for you and hope that you get better on the late end. 24 minutes in and out.
Sir.
Zach 1, where can our listeners follow you at?
Man, I'm on Instagram. I got the artist page on Facebook. It's my Instagram handle, and most of the places you'll find me because there's a lot of people that I guess took the ZAK1. And I don't know, just random people took the ZAK1, so I always put official in front of it. So if you look for official Zach1, you'll find me in a lot of places. TikTok, I think I got Zach1 for TikTok. I got the Facebook artist page. Got Instagram official Zach1. I don't know if it's X or Twitter now, or Twitter or X, or it's
Yeah,
just
Whatever it is.
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Got that. I don't.
We're
I'm
both
not.
on there.
But
He don't see me tagging stuff on there, but we're both on Twitter or X or whatever like that. I tag his official handle all the time. If he goes into his inbox and in Twitter, it's probably got like 200, 300 messages.
yeah, and then also the just the YouTube pages. Most of the regular social media stuff that everybody else got, I'm on, man. I'm more active on the Instagram and the Facebook though. My
Actually,
personal Facebook
yeah.
is my name, Zachary Matthews. You know what I mean? So anybody want to
Actually,
add
he's
me?
lying, D Dot. He still has a MySpace. I don't know if you're in his top eight, but he has a
He took
MySpace.
me out of his top 8. No, I'm joking.
What's crazy is I think I did have D Dot. Yeah, there's something. I think I actually had him on there, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, man. That's low how far we go back, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Man.
that's dope.
Yeah, it was
That's dope.
a minute. Like,
That's
yeah,
that's real friends right there. Because how far MySpace go back? Think about that, y'all been rocking for a minute. That's real stuff right there.
yeah, man. Like, we were just talking, like, before we got to doing the show, and, like, I remember, like, we were on each other's Facebook, and I posted the first track that we ever did on my Major Moves 2 album that came out 2012-ish. And
Hmm.
like we recorded that track, and like I saw a beat, or excuse me, a beat making video came up, which I made the instrumental for that track, and it reminded me of kind of when I posted that track on Facebook, and Yeah, man, just brought back some memories, man. It's good to
Yes.
see, Zach still doing it after this long. And definitely, much more success to the both of y'all.
Right on,
Thank you.
bro.
Thank
Too,
you.
man.
Blessings. I appreciate that.
No problem at all. I guess, to kind of tie a bow on everything, one of the things I just want to ask to any like maybe aspiring artists, producers, music creators, what's maybe one or two things that now that starting out you wish you would have known?
That's a good question. Hmm. I mean, I can't really say I wish I would have known this, but I could say that this is some good advice for young artists out there.
Yeah.
Just don't try to sound like everybody else. Don't try to emulate everything you hear. Have your
Mm,
because I feel
mm,
people that put that are in their own lane. You could take something from somebody and make it your own, but and be influenced by somebody and still have your originality. Um, because that's the next wave. Music's always waiting for the next wave. It's not going to stay where it's at. It's going to be the next sound, and the next sound after that, and it just continues to grow, and elevate. So just elevate yourself and have your own sound, and don't be afraid, man. Don't be swayed
mm,
by people's opinions of what's good and what's not. If you like it, stay in that lane because your time will come. Just stay heavy on the grind, man. Because the more work you put in, the more your name's going to be out there and noticed. And then that's when another thing I wanted to say on that was don't be afraid to network and get out there and put yourself out there to where some of the things that got me a name was just being out there at the studios where big names were at and just hooking up with them in real life, face to face, shaking hands. I won't even say no names, but I got some pretty big features back in the day, and that kind of boosted my career to the point where it is now, where I don't really even need to do too many features to put something out and have some ears behind it because people still follow me from what I did before, which is great. You know what I mean? Because then they kind of hear you. They might be listening for that feature, but then they hear you on there and they're like, "Oh, he kind of saying something. He kind of got some bars." And then when you put out something else, they'll remember that and just go back to that. Like, okay, let me give this a listen. And even if you get those 3, 4 listens, you get 4,000 people listening at one time. That's 4,000 listeners. You know what I mean? So, um, yeah, all the young people out there, man. Anybody willing to do or wanting to do music, that's just some advice from me that I'd like to put out there, man. Just don't be afraid, have your own sound. You know what I mean? You can do whatever. You can be diverse. You can do something that sounds like something now, but if you got a sound, don't be afraid to do that, man. Don't be afraid to be yourself and put yourself out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, be yourself. I mean, it's just kind of like we talked about earlier with some of these artists that um might have been major at one time, but still doing things, now like shows, merch, uh, features, things like that. You're gonna
Right.
find people that want to follow what you do and that could relate to you. So always be original to yourself. What
Yeah.
about you? Anything you want to add, G?
I'm going to add something that my wife told me, and I, I don't even think she knew. I don't think I've even told her how much that impressed upon me. But if I can give any advice to any artist at any age, is to let you know this: no one's going to love it like you do. I need you to hear that because it's your music. So what does that mean? You got to push forward, not waiting on anybody else to do it with you. Do it yourself because they're not going to love it like you do. They haven't been grinding the way that you do. They weren't there when you woke up in the middle of the night was penning something, or you woke up and something inspired you. You jumped on the keys and oh, that's what I was missing in that production. No one is going to love it like you do. So you have to show them how much you love it. And when you show them how much you love your own stuff, man, people want to be down. They want to be down with like, oh man, is it that? If you're not excited about what you're doing, how do you expect anybody else to be infected by that? How do you expect anybody else to be get excited? You know what I mean? You got to be juiced. So when you ask me, what do you think that Beatitudes? I'm like, hey, Beatitudes,
Mhm.
Beatitudes, that's joy. That's that joy. And you ain't listening. I don't know what's wrong with you, but you need to get on that Beatitudes. If you don't have that attitude about it, you can't expect nobody else. So no
Yep.
one's gonna love it like you do. So what does that mean? You gotta love that much harder.
Nobody's gonna love it like you, and nobody's gonna have the vision that you have for
Mm-mm,
your music.
mm-mm,
That's
mm-mm.
a
'Cause it's
word.
yours. It's
That's a
yours.
word. Mhm.
They, you, just something is poking you, which we know is the Holy Spirit is poking you. Say you need to go this direction. You need to follow that, and if you follow that, you ain't gonna go wrong. The money will come, the fans will come, people that are affected by your music. That's gonna come because you first have to follow your own vision.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
And,
This was
and
a
let me say this before I go. I want everybody to know that I'm Zak 1's biggest fan. I had his fan club. I just want to put that out there. Um,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
if I
man.
had, you would be.
that's all
Yeah.
right.
Zak 1 G Macbeth was definitely a
Yeah,
great interview. Go ahead, get that new album, Be Attitudes, available on all streaming platforms. Hit them with a follow as well. I'll put their info up so you can see and hit them with a follow again. Definitely appreciate them spending some time with us this
yeah,
afternoon. And, looking forward to what they have ahead. So, you could actually follow me also on Instagram at d._major music. Same thing on TikTok if you use threads. Also on X, Twitter, whatever it is, at d.mme. And if you like this interview and you're watching it on YouTube, please go ahead, hit the like button, go ahead, leave a comment. And even like if you can screenshot us on Instagram, if you're on a like audio platform, if you're on like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, let us know you're listening to it, and I'll be sure to repost and give you a shout out. Much love to everybody that took the time to watch this episode. And until next time, it's it's G Macbeth and Zak 1, and we're out.
Major Music.